Welcome back to episode 5 of That's BS with me, Brian Sprague. Let's get into it. Happy Thursday, everybody. The weekend's almost here. Mine actually starts today because I'm going camping with some buddies I grew up with. We go about this time every year. Last year I missed it because I was on my honeymoon. That was a little bit more important. But this year I'm fortunate enough to make it. I think we're going to Newport, Oregon. I don't know. I just ride in the car and help set up the tent. Or at least that's what I like to tell myself. So we'll see, and I guess it's supposed to pour down rain the whole entire weekend, so that should be a lot of fun. This podcast is going to be a little bit shorter just because I procrastinated and still need to finish packing for this alleged camping trip that I'm going on. But hopefully I can have a lot of content for you guys next week with all the shenanigans that me and my buddies get into, and maybe I can have some footage or video. That's the same thing. So maybe I can have some funny video or at least good stories next week to share with you guys. One of the things that I forgot was a sleeping apparatus, also known as a sleeping bag. So tonight, or I'm filming this Wednesday evening, my wife and I went to Sportsman's Warehouse to go pick up a sleeping bag because I didn't want to be sleeping under a tarp this whole weekend. But on the way there, we passed by my wife's favorite coffee stand, which if you live here in Washington, you're probably familiar with it. I don't know if anybody else has these, but I know Washington is pretty well known for them, is the Bikini Barista stand, Ladybug Coffee. Now for me, being in situations like at a Bikini Barista or at a strip club make me super duper uncomfortable. If you've listened to any of my stand-ups, or the one stand-up I did about that experience I had with a stripper in college, you'll know that I've been kind of scarred for life about those experiences. I also had a weird situation, which I'll get into a little bit, with one of the first jobs I had out of college. I actually rented cars, and I had a manager that was interesting, to say the least. But it's funny because my wife loves, like I said, that Ladybug Coffee place. And she doesn't get mad at me, but she always teases me and says, like, I don't know why you get so worked up about this. They chose that job. We're paying for their medical school. Something funny and obnoxious like that. But, I mean, obviously she's going to buy into it. Her name's Mercedes. She's already halfway up the pole at that point. So, I mean, I get the appeal to her. But for me, it's always been super uncomfortable because I feel like I was raised as a gentleman, so I try to be as polite and cordial as possible. And when you're in those kind of, I don't know if forced sexual situation is the right way of putting it, but they always make me super uncomfortable. So this is kind of how it goes for me. The gal will be like, oh, hi, how can I help you? And I just stare them dead in the eyes. Hi, how are you? I would like an Italian soda. And then my wife would like, and then I'll look over and ask her, and then I'll look back. So she would like to order. I'm very awkward with it, but I also look them dead in the eyes because, I mean, obviously they're dressed a certain way to get the attention, but it makes me so uncomfortable. But like I said, my wife likes it. So there's one right by our house where we recently moved. So we've been there a couple times, and she's made friends, I guess, with the baristas. So they give her free drinks sometimes, and we're definitely racking up a punch card. But yeah, I think a lot of it is for her to torture me, and she has a lot of fun with that. So the weird story about my job out of college renting cars, and I had that interesting boss, it was my first week at this new location, and he was showing me around to all the local shops, being like, this is a body shop we work with. This is one of the dealers we do customer cars for, just things like that, just showing me different business accounts so I could meet the movers and shakers, so that when I went into those shops, they would be familiar with me, and then also I was comfortable navigating those locations. So this is my second or first week on the job at this location. So on the way back to our office after we went and saw all of the accounts, he goes, hey man, do you mind if we go grab some coffee? I said, yeah, I don't really like coffee, but I'll definitely go with you, no problem. He goes, do you care where I choose? And me, being the innocent boy that I am, said, no, I mean, pick wherever you want. I don't have a preference, so it's solely up to you. So he proceeded to pull up to the Ladybug Coffee stand, which is one of the lingerie bikini baristas, which I thought was strange, but also stranger because we're at work. He's my boss, and I'm his brand new employee. I was definitely perturbed, to say the least. I mean, what you do on your own time is all you. Clearly, I frequent there because my wife's, their number one fan. But I was not comfortable, but I'm not one of those people that's going to be like, hey, man, I'm uncomfortable. I just kind of go with the flow. It's a lot easier to do that, or at least I was at the time in my life. It's a lot easier to kind of roll with the punches rather than be like, hey, man, I'm uncomfortable about this, especially since he's my boss. And I was like 22 at the time, and I was at a new location. So I wasn't trying to create like a rift or some drama my first week or second week, whatever it was. But anyways, it gets weirder. So the gal comes to the window, and I notice in my peripheral vision, because I'm driving, or no, he was driving, because the next thing he did was super duper creepy, and I can't get that out of my brain. But anyways, I remember I was sitting, like I mentioned, I like super eye contact, but this time I'm the passenger, so I'm sitting in the car, and I'm just staring straight forward. And he places his order, and then the gal's talking to me. She goes, "Can I get you anything, sweetheart?" "No, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a wonderful day." Like, I was like a robot person, and it was really awkward because I was already super uncomfortable, and this is a situation that is not my cup of tea. So she's like, "Oh, okay," and then moves away. And then when she moves away, and man, whoever owns and runs these places are just as bad as this dude I'm telling the story about. But they put everything like on the bottom shelves, at least at this location. So all the women there are bending down, and like it's very exaggerated. But that's exactly what happened. And so as she bends down, I shit you not, this motherfucker gets out of his seat, like almost had to unbuckle himself, and then leans out of the window, almost into the window of the coffee stand, then looks back at me and says, "I'm trying to see if she shaved this morning." That just happened. So needless to say, if you know about my previous trauma with these sexual situations, that just, my cup runneth over, as the great philosopher Jay-Z once said. So I was just blown away that this is what this guy does on his first week or two with new employees. I come to find out later on that that's not the only time he's done some suspect things. And it just was like, holy cow. And then that's how I learned to be a phenomenal manager and a leader of men and women, because that's the right way to earn your respect from your employees. But yeah, it was no surprise that that gentleman was let go in the not too distant future after that situation. None of that was my doing, but I think similar stories like that caught up to him sooner rather than later. So that was just a interesting story I wanted to share with you guys, because now it's really funny. Also, it's really creepy. But when we were driving by it today, my wife was like, "Hey, maybe we can go say hi to one of my girlfriends," when we drove by. But like I said, this was going to be a pretty short podcast because I thought I could just share a funny story with you. It's also been kind of a slow week for me, so I'm working on a couple things and different segments to put on here to where it's something that can get a little bit more engagement and involvement from the audience. Sadly, we didn't reach our subscriber goal. We got 39. We are one short of the 40, but hey, usually over the weekend we can power through. I feel like this was at least a personal story that is funny and unique to where hopefully it's a little bit more entertaining than some of the other things I brought to the table. But like I've said, I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. So I appreciate the support, getting the foundation set. But like I've said a couple times, I want to get it so there's guests on here to where I'm not just talking to the camera. I'm still figuring how not to be awkward doing that. I feel that not only my speech, but my mannerisms are a little bit more natural as I've gone on, because I'm used to staring at this screen, watching myself tell you guys, funny stories or what's going on in my life. If you have any suggestions of things that you've liked that I've done so far, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments below or reach out to me on a different outlet if you have my information, or on Instagram, or, I have a Twitter, but I only follow my wife on there, or however that works. I'm not the best with social media. I told her, if this really takes off, which again, fingers crossed, I'm hoping it does, and then she'll be my social media manager, because I really don't, I'm more of a person to person communicator, but I think this is a really cool way, especially being stuck at home all day and there's nothing else to really do, obviously, besides work and do things around the house and this, that, and the other. Oh, we spent a shit ton at Walmart today, but I did realize that Walmart has the same things that our grocery store locally does, but for like half the price. So if we would have purchased what we purchased today at Walmart at our local Hagen's, it would have been like $1,000. Not really. It would have been like $300-400, but we got out of there at like $228 or something like that, with groceries to feed a small village. But you know how it is. Whenever you buy groceries, you demolish like half of them the second you get home. I haven't done that, but probably at least a third of the groceries. But yeah, I went on a typical Brian tangent, but I appreciate the support and things like that. Any suggestions, I'm open to it. Hopefully, like I said, after I get back from camping, I'll have some funny stories, or even some video of some of the shenanigans that we got into. Hopefully we can stay dry, because like I said, it's supposed to piss rain the whole time. So we'll see. Send positive vibes my way. I definitely need it. Thanks for joining us on That's BS episode 5. It's been real. Peace.